Hi everybody, this is Susan from Three Sisters Sundries. I have a little bit of a project share for you today. I recently made this cute little locket slash dangle for a journal I've been working on. It's made out of an old Altoids tin. I can never bear to throw these away because they're so cute and they seem useful, and I decided to give this a try. So it's kind of a mixed media business here. On the outside I put a little dangle, and then because it's going with a Peter Rabbit journal that I made, I did a little bit of Peter Rabbit stuff in there. So let me show you how I made it. This is an Altoids tin. It's shiny. It has kind of a, I think this is paint, but you need to make it a little bit rough, give it some tooth in order for all of the mixed media to stick. So what I used on mine was this sanding block that I've had for a while. It's an old Making Memories one. You can use sandpaper if you have it, but this was what I had. So I just took the rough side and just sanded this. If you really want to, you can go hardcore and you can sand all of this off down to bare metal and it'll look like this. But there's really no need for this project to get it that clean. So I sanded the front, the back, the sides, and the inside. So I will finish that and come right back. Alright, here we are, sanded just a tiny bit. Now the next step is to paint this with gesso. And I just got this gesso at Joann. It's white. For this project, I want to have a black background, but I don't have black gesso. So I am just going to paint this with white and with white gesso. And then I will paint it with black paint for the background that I want. Gesso is kind of like priming for paint. It gives something for the other elements to stick to. So I will finish painting this with gesso and come right back. Just a note, on my other one I painted this whole area here and it made it kind of hard to open and close, so I'm going to try and keep that a little bit more free of paint and gesso so that I don't have that problem with this one. I'll finish this and be right back. Here's our tin, all gessoed inside and out. I left it clear a little bit on the clasp so it will be easier to open and close. Now, before I paint it black, we're going to punch our holes for the dangle here and the lobster clasp here with a crocodile. I'm going to measure and mark with my centering ruler where I need to punch those holes. I'm going to measure where the tin is flat rather than trying to measure the curved edge. So it looks like about 3/4 of an inch on either side of the zero. I'm just going to use a Sharpie and put a dot right there so that I know where to punch my hole. And then I'll do the same thing on the other end. Measure on the straight part of the tin at 3/4 of an inch on either side of the zero. And make my dot. When I had this idea originally, I could not imagine how I was going to punch that hole. I tried a number of things and then just decided to go for it with the crocodile. It goes through it like butter. So open up your tin. Make sure you're using the skinny punch. Now I just put the end of the crocodile all the way to the back of the tin so that it would clear the lid. And now line up your punch with your mark, and boom, easy peasy. Do that on the other side. Sorry if my head's in the way, but I can't see unless I get my face right up there. And boom, easy. Okay, now we're going to paint this black. Now you'll notice, oops, there's our punched out part, that the gesso doesn't entirely cover the writing on the tin, but that doesn't really matter. We're going to cover it up first with our black paint and then with lots of goodies, so it will not show, so no worries. Shake up my paint a little bit. I'm not going to bother to pour it out onto anything. I'm just going to dip it right out of here. Put a little bit in the lid and just dip it. All about saving cleanup time. So I'll give that a bit of a paint and come right back. Alright, our black paint has dried, and now we're going to start some layers. If you know anything about mixed media, you know it's all about layers. I would like this to have kind of a steampunk vibe because I am kind of inspired by this cute little froggy charm that's going to be part of the dangle. So, I want it to have kind of silvery tones because he is silver. So I have some silver metallic paint, and I'm just going to do a little bit of dry brushing on our on the tin, just to kind of streak the paint, the silver paint, like that. And a lot of it is not going to show, but layers. We're doing our layers. So around the edges and the back as well. It doesn't matter if it's blotchy and imperfect. That's kind of the idea with mixed media. Now, while that dries a little bit, I have learned from hard experience that if you want all of your little pieces to match in color, it's best to paint them before you start sticking them on your project. So I have a few little goodies here that I'm planning to use. I have some green wire, which I think I will leave green. I have a flower. I have this cool clock face. And those things are, I'm pretty happy with the way they look already. I might put a little bit of paint on the clock. But I also have this brass colored cog. And then these are chipboard. So those definitely need to be painted. And this little key. And I have a little pocket watch charm. This is so cute. I don't know. It's so cute. I hate to cover it up. This is a brad. It's a little vintage fan. So and I like the color, so I'm going to leave it the way it is, but I need to cut off the brad part. So those things I'm not going to worry about painting. I'll put those back in my little dish so I don't lose track of them. And then we can paint all of these. I'm just going to use my black paint. I'm not going to worry about gessoing these. I'm just going to use the paint. Do, I think, a pretty solid coverage on everything but the clock, because I think I'd like to put a little bit on there, but not too much. So I will work on those and come right back. All right, all my little pieces have been painted with black and dry brushed with silver. I realized I forgot about my key, so I had to do that as well. Now I want to introduce a little bit of color, and since the frog's eyes are green, I'm going to use these two colors of Heidi Swapp Color Shine. One is mint, and this is the patina. So I'm going to start with the mint and just kind of drop it and spread it and drip it and see how I like it. Okay, the next thing I want to add is a little bit of dictionary paper, and I've torn a couple of bits here. I'm just going to see what I like. So I'll scooch these out of the way for now and close that so I can get to the lid. Now, to do this, you can use just Mod Podge, but I have used my coupon at Joann and got myself this Liquitex gel medium. This is pretty cool stuff. It's a lot like Decoupage, but it has a hard, or a real gluey kind of substance to it, so you can use it to glue also. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to use that for my decoupage and to attach all my little items. Let me set these here and see how I like them. I want to make sure that I'm doing it right side up. So my hinge is on the left. My little dictionary pieces here. I think that's too big. They're going to mostly be covered up, but I really like the idea of the text behind everything, so I think I will do that arrangement. So I'll put down a little bit of my gel medium on the front of my box here, and you can kind of glop it. It's really fun to work with, actually. So I'll just put that where I plan to put my dictionary pieces, and then lay them down, and just like Mod Podge, just go over it with a little bit more of the medium. And if it's lumpy, that's okay. It just adds a little more texture to your project. And I'm going over the edges a bit here on the sides because that's what I want. Checking to make sure all my pieces are right side up. Looks like my ink is running a little bit into my stuff, but that's okay too. That's what I love about mixed media. Kind of anything goes, and there really are no mistakes. All right, so I'm gonna let that dry for a second and then attach my other stuff. All right, now I think I'm ready to glue on all my little bits and pieces. So I'm gonna start with this wire. All right, our gel is dry. All our things are stuck down. I think I want to add a few more things. I have these little tiny star glitters. I think I want to add a couple of those. And then I got these mica flakes from Finnabair. I want to try those. I don't think I've opened these yet though. So let's try a couple of those. Ooh, those feel cool. Alright, I put everything that I wanted to on the front of my locket, and I'm ready to attach the clasp and the dangle. So what I have here are head pins, a lobster clasp, a bead, and my little dangle for the bottom. I should point out on this one, I just used a plain head pin, and if you do that, you need to make sure that you add a bead, because this style, at least, of head pin will just go straight through the hole, and you will not be able to put your dangles on. So in other words, you have a bead, you have your head pin, you put the bead on the head pin, and then put the head pin through the hole in your locket, and that way it'll stay secure. But I have chosen for this locket to use a head pin with a decorative end, because I really like the way that looks, and it eliminates a step. So make sure your locket is right side up. Insert your head pin thusly. Then the head pin is quite long, so I am going to cut it about halfway down with my side cutters. With my round nose pliers, I am just going to roll this down. Rather than making a wrapped loop or something more complicated, I just decided to wrap until I reached the end of the top of the tin. It eliminates a step, and you know, if you're not a jewelry maker, it's super easy to just wind it down. So you end up with kind of a rough loop, which you can straighten up if you want to. You don't really need to. You can make it smaller if you use the pointy end of your pliers. That is a little bit rough, so I might fix that just a little bit. But that is all I did. Okay. Now for my top, I want to add a clasp. So I have my lobster clasp, and I also need a jump ring. If you're familiar with jump rings, you know you just hold one side. If it's not too tough, you can just open it like that. Always twist it, don't pull it apart. It will never go back into shape. So add your clasp and put the other end of your jump ring through your loop that you made, and just close the jump ring. If it gets a little wonky, you can always fiddle with it and get it back into shape. So now you have your clasp. And just do the same thing for your dangle if you decide to put a dangle on. And there you go. Your locket is all done and decorated and beautiful, ready for a journal. Thanks so much for watching. Please let me know if you make one of these yourself and show us how it worked out. I will talk to you later. Thank you.